April 2026 continued the slow thaw we started to see last month in the Toronto real estate market. The recovery signals are getting stronger. Let's start with sales. In April, the GTA saw 5,946 transactions, up 7% year-over-year. Last month barely broke the last streak of negative year-over-year numbers, but April pushed further, moving from a slight rebound into a much clearer increase in activity. Buyers are starting to come back more actively. Now let's look at supply. New listings came in at just over 17,000, down 9% compared to last year. This is important because sales are rising while supply is shrinking. That means the balance between buyers and sellers is starting to shift away from the extremely buyer-heavy market toward something more balanced. The inventory also continued to fall. Active listings in April were around 25,000, down 6% year-over-year. Months of inventory dropped again from 4.3 months in March to 4.2 months in April. Buyer advantage still exists, but it's slowly weakening. Homes are also selling faster. The average days on market fell to 43 days, down from 47 in March. That gap versus last year is continuing to narrow, which tells us market liquidity is improving. Now let's talk about price. The average price moved back up to about $1.05 million compared to March $1.17 million. That's a monthly increase of about 3.3%. So prices are recovering faster month to month, although overall levels are still relatively low. So overall, what are we seeing? Sales are recovering more quickly. Supply continues to shrink. Inventory is falling, and the market is becoming more active. Prices are still relatively weak. So it's too early to call this a true long-term rebound, but the market is clearly moving in a warmer direction. Recently, a lot of buyers and sellers have been asking me the same question: how much longer until the market bottoms? Honestly, predicting the future is probably a job for fortune tellers, not realtors. But we can still look at the key variables that may shape the next few years. Let's start with the risks. First, inflation and interest rates. Rising energy prices linked to conflict in the Middle East could push inflation higher again. If inflation rebounds, it becomes much harder for Bank of Canada to continue easing. And if rates rise again, it won't just affect the affordability, it will also hurt buyer confidence. Second, employment and income expectations. This is probably the biggest reason demand is still being surprised today. Between economic uncertainty and technological change, especially AI-driven changes in the job market, many families are becoming more cautious about the future. Now, let's look at the positive side. Right now, GTA transaction volume is still only about 1/3 of peak level, or roughly half of long-term average levels. That makes this one of the weakest housing market we've seen in about 20 years. But at the same time, Canada is still seeing close to 400,000 new immigrants landing each year. While that's slightly lower than the post-pandemic peak, it's still far above the historical norm from previous decades. So the question becomes, is there demand that simply hasn't been released yet? And there's another important factor. New housing construction across the GTA is currently running at roughly half the historical average. If supply stays far below normal for several years, will inventory and market balance still look the same as they do today? So when people try to predict the future of the housing market, the real question is this: are you more worried the demand stays suppressed or that future supply won't be enough? I'm Pris Han, the GTA Realtor for all your first-time moves.